What's good, teams? Man here from Team Emporium, and in today's video I am bringing to you a Dark Magician deck profile. So for those of you that didn't know, Dark Magicians was one of the first decks I actually played when I started getting into the competitive scene. It was around about the time of Spiral format when it was a 3 Firewall Dragon, so you know, that went pretty well. But yeah, it's a deck profile I've wanted to do for the longest time now, because it is one of my all-time favourite decks, one of my all-time favourite cards. And I just thought, you know what, I'll finally bring it to you. I recently finished remaking it after having not really played it properly for years, and just throwing in filler cards just to play every now and then. But yeah, really excited. Some of the cards are just down to personal choice and my personal preference of playstyle, so I will just let you know which ones they are. But before I get into the video, make sure that you like the video as always, leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and make sure you follow us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram, where we are interacting with you all, and we'll have a bit of fun, have a bit of laugh, and you'll just get random updates or see some shiny cards. But without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, so getting into the deck profile, of course you got to start off with the man himself, the ultimate wizard of attack in terms of attack and defense, Dark Magician. I chose this up just because I picked it up and I really like it. But yeah, you can't have a Dark Magician deck without 3 of the Dark Magician himself. I mean, well, you could if you really wanted to, but it just wouldn't be as effective. You got a love-hate relationship with this card. Sometimes you want to see it in your hand, sometimes you don't. But either way, I recommend running 3 of them. So, of course, the Dark Magician. Then, followed off by the best normal summon of the deck, Magician's Rod. So you got 3 of them. Literally searches all your Dark Magician spells and traps, and it really helps set up your plays, and you can recur it if you activate a spell trap or effect during your opponent's turn. You can tribute a spellcaster you control and add that back to hand, so he's really good to recycle. So once you kind of see it once, you don't really need to draw into it as much afterwards. But a lot of people actually forget that second effect, but I always try and make sure I can remember it, because it is definitely one of the better recycle effects that we've got. Following that up with arguably the best Dark Magician card, Magician's Souls. So for those of you that know, Magician's Souls went up insanely high at points. Well, I say insanely high. I think right here in the UK, the highest it went for was maybe like £70, I think. But I picked them up luckily when they were about 30 a piece, so that was very good. So basically this just special summons itself, sending a Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl was what you'd usually send, but sending one of them to the grave, but it's usually just a level 6 or higher spellcaster. So yeah, special summons himself, and he gets used some extra draw power, or you can special summon the monster you just sent to the grave, because it would usually be Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl. But yeah, Magician Souls, you 100% need to run it. So I've seen some profiles not running this. I personally like it, so it's one of those cards that just down to my preference, is Apprentice Illusion Magician. So I really like it in terms of just being able to get extra board presence. I mean, we are running Dragoon in the deck, we would be a bit silly not to. And I mean, if you open Red Eyes Fusion and Apprentice, you just use it, bring out Dragoon, and Apprentice can get it up to 5,000, basically being impossible to beat over. But yeah, Apprentice really good. You discard a card to special summon it, and then you can search a Dark Magician. So if you've got a Dark Magician in hand, you can get one out from the deck, or you just need to get one to hand, get rid of one of your other cards, and you just get that advantage. Plus it helps with link climbing. We don't have tons of it, but it is useful in those scenarios. Next, we got a couple of the one-offs. So of course, the one Dark Magician Girl, you pretty much never want to see this in your hand. It's literally there to send off Magician's Souls and for a couple of the little cards, but it's not really a main combo piece, so it's not something you want to see in hand, along with the Red Eyes Black Dragon, which again, you don't really want to see in hand, you just kind of have it there. Not much to say about them, they're the cards that you really don't want to see. Then to round off the monsters, then my hand trap is just triple Ash Blossom. Really not much to say about it, it's still one of the best, most versatile hand traps in most scenarios. I would run Bell, but I got that on my side deck. You'll see more about that afterwards. I just think Ash is just a bit more versatile in comparison. You can just hit more decks with it. Next, going off to the spells, I got 3 Dark Magical Circle. I want to pick up my third secret eventually, but yeah. So 3 Dark Magical Circle, activate it, excavate the top 3 cards of your deck, not your opponent's, that would be insane. Excavate the top 3 cards of your deck, and you get to add a Dark Magician spell trap or the Dark Magician himself to your hand. So it's really good, and when you special summon a Dark Magician, you can banish a card on the field that you're going to control, I believe. Yeah, it's a really good card. You definitely want 3 of it. For the longest time I was actually running 2, but that was before Magician's Souls. So with Magician's Souls, if you have 3, if you have 2 in hand, you can just send 1 to get a draw at least. So it's not as clunky anymore, because the effects are once put in. Then you got the Soul Servant. So easily one of the better new additions to the deck as well. Stack your deck and draw cards. I mean, what more can you want in a card, really? You get to draw a card for every Dark Magician Girl, or Palladium monsters with different names in your graveyard or on the field. So assuming you get Dark Magician Girl, you get 2 draws every single turn, which is insane. Plus you get to stack your deck, so you get to choose something that you want to draw into. Yeah, so and both effects you can use in the same turn. So opening up multiples isn't really the worst, but they are once put in effects. But yeah, this is just a really good card. And then rounding off the Dark Magician spells, you just got the 1 Dark Magic attack. I think I'm always going to run it. I was playing Thousand Lives beforehand, but that's not as good. Dark Magic attack is just better, and you know, it's a pretty card. And then finally for the spells, just some one-offs. We got Instant Fusion. If you would have seen just before I got into the deck profile, the extra deck monster that was there, that kind of explains it. We got the Red Eyes Fusion, because obviously Dragoon, and we got Magicalized Fusion, which is basically allows us to get a second Dragoon after resolving the first one. So yeah, they're all just really good cards. I've seen some people argue running 3 of the Red Eyes Fusion. I'm personally not for that. I think 1 is fine. You don't really want to see it in your hand. I know some builds that are a bit more trap eccentric, they will run the 3, but I just think for this build 1 works quite well. So then going on into our traps, we got 3 Eternal Soul. Again, I won't pick up my 3rd secret at some point, but 3 Eternal Soul, it lets you just recur your Dark Magician and search Dark Magic attack. It's really good. Only issue is it is literally a kamikaze card if they get rid of it. But yeah, other than that, it's just a really good card and something that you do want to see as often as possible. So the Magician's Souls. Then a couple of one-of Dark Magician spells. So of course you got Magician's Combination. This one's really good. I've seen some builds run 2. I personally think 1 is fine because it's searchable. Then Magician's Navigation. So I run it. I've seen some builds that don't. I like it. Worst case scenario, you have Dark Magician hand, you have Navigation, you just get 2 monsters in your opponent's turn. That's pretty good. And you can also ditch it off Apprentice Illusion Magician to special summon itself. So it's just a free discard if anything. You more so want it for its graveyard effect rather than anything. If you control Dark Magician, banish it, and you basically negate a face-up spell card or trap card, I think it is, your opponent controls. So basically it just gives you a spell trap negate. So I think that's really good. And then finally, Destined Rivals. So this came out in the Megatins, the 2020 Megatins. I really like it. I mean, if you control a Dark Magician or a Blue Eyes White Dragon, you can negate the effect of all face-up monsters your opponent controls. It's just a blanket Dark Ruler no more. Obviously not as good, but it's searchable, so I figured, you know what, a blanket negate, you can't really go wrong, so I decided to run the 1. This deck is over 40 cards, I think it's like maybe 42 cards, so you could consider cutting the Rivals and maybe the Navigation, but personally I quite like them. Then of course I've got 3 Infinite Impermanents, just really good hand trap, and just trap anyway. So you definitely, in my opinion, you definitely want to run 3 Imperm. If you haven't got it, you can obviously run substitutes, but Imperm is definitely more desirable. Next, to round off the trap I got 2 Solemn Strike. I really like Solemn Strike. It's good going first, and it's okay going second. It's a bit more versatile going second in comparison to something like Judgment. So I really like Strike. Then we've got 2 Ice Dragons Prisons. I would run 3, but I don't actually have 3. I thought I did, but I think 2 is actually fine. You see it when you see it, and it's not the end of the world if you don't see it. But yeah, 2 Ice Dragon Prisons because it's just a really good trap. It's a really good card. And then finally, True Crackdown. That's more so just interruption and helps you link climb as well. So you really can't go wrong there, and just stealing your opponent's monster is always funny. So yeah, that will round off the main deck. Going into the extra deck here, so we got the Millennium Eyes Restrict, which you should have been able to tell from the Instant Fusion. That's our Instant Fusion target mainly. It's really good, helps against hand traps, or if not, you summon it and use it as link material, and then you can bring it back with a card you'll see a bit later. Then you got Mud Dragon, again another Instant Fusion target, but it's more so for Super Poly. You notice it wasn't in the main deck, that is because it's a side deck. It's just a card that I personally quite favour to run at least in the side. So yeah, Mud Dragon. Then you got the Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight, just because it's a good card, and you can summon it because you have a dragon monster in the grave, so you can summon it with Magical Ice Fusion if you really wanted to protect your back row, so I think it was pretty nice. Then you got 2 Dragoons. Don't want to run 3, I don't think you need 3, I think 3 is a bit overkill personally, but you still want the card, so you're going to have the 2 there. Next we got Starling Venom, which is our other Super Poly target. This is the main one you're going to use. At the moment in this format, Dark Monsters aren't that big. There are still some decks, but they're not as big with Triton around and Eldritch as well, so you could probably take that out for like maybe another Link monster or just a better Poly target or something. Then you got the Dark Magician, so you use that with like Magician's Combination or something like that. It's really good. And you got Quintet Magician, because I think the chance to be able just to kind of nuke your opponent's board all of a sudden is always fantastic, and I don't see why you wouldn't want to give yourself the opportunity to do so. Then off to some Xyz monsters. I got my Ebon Illusion Magician. Ebon I think it is. Ebon Illusion Magician is really good, gets you Dark Magician from deck I believe, and you can banish on declaration of attack if a normal monster attacks. I think that's his effect. Let's just double check that. Yeah, when a spellcast attack normal monster declares an attack, you can banish a card your opponent controls, so that's really good as well. You don't really go into them that much, but it's useful when it comes up. And then I got my Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon, as you can see, my Ghost Rare one. I really like this card. There's been a few times when I've played Dark Magician in the past where I've just summoned that when my opponent's low on life, just to put them on the clock of they have to play correct or they lose. It's a really good card, and it's just unaffected by opponent's other card effects, so you can't go wrong. Then I got Link Spider, just in case you get like just a Dark Magician sitting there, and you can kind of just continue from there, or just for a bit get him back into the grave for like an Eternal Souls, or if you get in the Beard, you can get a Link Spider or something at least. You got Relinquished Anima, so that's more so for Magician's Souls. It gives Souls a bit more versatility for going second, because you can just do that, bring out Anima and just try and bait out your opponent's negate at least. So yeah, Anima. Then I got Verte Anaconda. Obviously you should have been able to tell Anaconda is needed for Dragoon, so not much to say about that. Then the card that can bring back Millennium Eyes, Selene. So you don't usually end up with mad amounts of spells in the grave, but you do usually end up with like at least 3 most of the time. So you can at least get Selene's effect off once to bring back your Millennium Eyes, which then gives you an additional interruption, so I think that's really good. Plus this is really good for link climbing into our final extra deck card, Access Code Talker. So Access Code isn't as insane in this deck because all our link monsters are pretty much dark apart from Link Spider, but regardless, it's still just a really good card with Selene. You can get him up to 5,300 and then pop one and then just smack your opponent really hard. So yeah, you definitely want to run this. I wouldn't recommend running Boral Sword in Dark Magicians, it's just not as good. And then going into the side deck, quick note here, side deck is completely down to preference. This is the side deck I built around my playstyle, my locals and everything like that. So obviously you should change your side deck based off what you have in your locals and not just stick to this like it's Bible. But starting off, we got 3 Ghost Bell. Like I said, I have got on my side. I really like the card. This format is just much more prevalent than it has been in previous formats, so you should definitely have it in some way, shape or form. Then I've got 3 Artifact Lancia. Again, just a really good card. There are a lot of decks that do some banishing and search and stuff these days, so Lancia, you can't go wrong against like Eldritch. It just stops them from recycling their traps, so it gives you a bit of breathing room there, so you're not so crushed by their recycling and their grinding game. Then I got 3 Lightning Storm, so this is mostly good for going second because I built to go first, so I'm building my side deck to go second. So Lightning Storm, obviously blow up back row, blow up monsters, can't go wrong there, because I think just inherently Dark Magician isn't always the best at breaking boards from what I remember. Got 3 Super Poly, obviously got my Super Poly targets, so you want to see it as much as possible, even going first. It's just a good interruption, so can't go wrong there. And finally we got our 3 Cosmic Cyclone, just some more back row removal because back row is a bane these days, and I just feel you should have adequate back row removal things to deal with it or bait it out at least. So Cosmic Cyclone helps fill that role. But yeah, that will be it for the video, guys. I hope you have enjoyed the deck profile anyway. Make sure you leave a comment on what you think of the deck, what you would change. Is there any card tech choices that you would put in yourself? Yeah, just let me know what you guys think. And like I said, leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you all in the next one.